Hello, Sanbonani, Dumelag Molweni. Happy New Year and welcome to Asathi Reviews. My name is Asathi Nzelu, and in this video I'll be doing a film review of the movie Emancipation. I will not be mentioning the executive producers in this video because there are too many, so you will find them in the description down below or on any of my social media platforms. The director is Antoine Fuqua. The writer is William Collage. The cinematographer is Robert Richardson. The main characters are Will Smith as Peter, Ben Foster as Faisal, and Charmaine Bingwa as Dodien. I have decided to title the movie The Enslaved. Emancipation is a real-life story of Peter, a black man who was separated from his family during the times of slavery as his master sold him off to another master. Peter was a staunch Christian with deep-rooted faith, and he was also a defiant man who was audacious enough to stand up to the white man, the master. As Peter was being dragged, kicking and screaming, he promised his family that he would return to them, and he instructed them to stay together. On the way to the camp to which he has been sold, he sees many heads of black men hanged on poles. He arrives to yet another camp where the soil is literally nourished by the blood, sweat, and tears of black people. Peter constantly gets into trouble because he always stands up for the other enslaved men, but nonetheless, he continues to be a pillar of strength to the other enslaved men by comforting them and telling them that God is with them and he will set them free. Of course, in anger, some reject his consoling words. Peter and the other enslaved men overhear their enslavers talking about a certain master who has freed his slaves and is fighting for all others to do the same. They then plan to escape to the plantation where other enslaved men are freed. In the midst of burying their enslaved brothers who have dropped dead like flies left, right, and center, Peter and the other surviving men ambushed their enslavers and then ran for their lives. They used their human senses to run away from their enslavers and their dogs. One of the men that they escaped with is eventually caught because he was procrastinating crossing the crocodile-infested lake with his other brothers. When the enslavers finally get to him, they promise him freedom if he betrays his brothers by telling them where they are heading, a promise they broke as soon as they had received the information that they wanted. Peter and his surviving brother decide to go different paths to reduce the chances of them being caught. In his path, Peter comes across a house belonging to white people and he successfully steals water. As he runs away, the youngest daughter in the white family spots him and yells, "Run now!" as she aggressively rings the bell to alert the others. Peter hides in a swamp and manages to deceive them into another direction. He is immediately attacked by an alligator as he makes his way out of the swamp, but he manages to fight it off and kill it. Meanwhile, back at the old camp, his wife assures his kids that their papa will return safely. The enslavers are blown away when they find the alligator that Peter killed, and they wonder how he did it. One of the chief enslavers tells a story as they sit around a bushfire at night of how his house slave used to take care of him as a child after his mother had recently passed away. He speaks of how his father warned him of giving anything to the enslaved because they will just take everything. He also tells his fellow enslavers of how his father brutally killed that black woman. This enslaver then goes on to confess that he fears that black people will one day return the favor. Peter continues his quest for greener pastures, taking honey from bees, healing his wounds, and finding water along the way. Along the way, he bumps into his other brother and tells him to smear onions in his skin so that the dogs cannot smell him. Peter hides inside the tree and the brother climbs it as they hear the enslavers approaching. The enslavers spot the black brother and they shoot him down like a bird. They finish him off by stabbing him numerous times when he refuses to give away Peter, and they take his head back to the camp to be hanged on the pole with the others. In the previous camp, the enslavers decide to sell Peter's wife, Dorian, to another enslaver without her kids. Peter's wife then decides to put her arm in the cotton machine so that she can be disabled and the other enslavers will not want to buy her. Whilst on the run, Peter sees a house on fire and he walks in, helping himself to the food that he finds. As he walks around the house, he finds many dead bodies and a young black girl, which he takes outside to try and get her water and fresh air. The young black girl gives Peter a necklace with a cross just before she dies, which Peter used to kill the enslaver that had just found them and was pointing a gun at them. He runs away as he sees another one coming and he passes through a camp with many dead bodies, and unfortunately the enslaver finally catches him. Just as the enslaver points a gun at Peter, telling him that he is his god, a group of officers arrive and they shoot the enslaver dead, saving Peter. As the enslaver takes his last breath, Peter tells him that he is not his god. The officers take Peter to another camp where he receives care from nuns and is trained to be a soldier as soon as he heals, so that he can join the other soldiers in fighting to free the other enslaved black people. Peter and other soldiers head to war to fight the enslavers, and they come out as victors, having destroyed the enslavers and their legacies. When the news of freedom is spread, Peter searches for his wife and family and he finds them just as he was on the brink of assuming the West. This movie is very similar to the series The Underground Railroad. It reminds black people to always fight for what they are entitled to and never give up, and to also protect themselves because, and I quote, "A nigger with an idea is dangerous. Best put him underground." This movie also shows how racism is passed down to children, as demonstrated by the little white girl ringing the bell aggressively and yelling, "Rana!" Most importantly, it encourages us to always have faith because God is so good that He will always come through for us. Therefore, I recommend this movie to all people across all races. Thank you for watching this film review. My name is Asathi, and please do like, subscribe and comment down below under the hashtag Asathi Reviews.